Welcome to this week's episode of the Healing Journey podcast with Dr. Jimmy Walters. Now, this is my first episode recording during chemotherapy treatments, so I come to you a little bit more tired than usual. Now, prior to this next round of treatments, I met with 3 separate doctors, my main oncologist twice, my surgeon, and a new psychiatrist to help with any necessary medicine. I found myself leaving these conversations unsettled, feeling as if an unasked question was going unanswered. As I reflected on this further, it led me to clarity, which will be the topic of this week's episode. I just wanted to know, will I be okay? And so this week's topic is titled, Guarantee. In meeting with so many doctors, especially as the plan suddenly changed from surgery to more chemo, there's a lot to process, as I discussed last episode. In that episode, I shared how I hoped healing would be logical, with clear action steps that led to a solution. If you remember, I gave the car example. If your brakes are broken, you identify the problem, go to the mechanic, they confirm the issue, they fix it, and you drive away from the mechanic knowing your car is safe. Healing doesn't work like this, and life doesn't either. And this weighed especially true as I met with these doctors. They asked all the right questions and provided the necessary information to prepare for more chemotherapy. They discussed new side effects and things to look out for, like dehydration. Since last July, I have thought of my life in periods. First, a period of surgery and healing. Second, a long period of chemo, followed by a period of surgery and recovery again. With starting a new round of therapy, potentially another 6 months, and then a possibility of surgery later this summer, the immediate future remains unclear. Now, I hope there's light at the end of the tunnel, or in other words, a guarantee. A guarantee that the cancer would be gone at the ends of these periods, even if they couldn't stay gone forever. In meeting with my doctors, I just want to hear one of them say, it will be okay, or this is going to work. Now, they can't say this because they aren't certain that the medicine will work. No patient is the same, and trying out these debilitating medicines over a long period of time is the best route of action. Hopefully in the future, there'll be better ways to deal with cancer, but this is where we are right now. So fast forward to the infusion room last Wednesday, where I was watching this targeted poison enter my bloodstream once again. And I realized how unsettling it is to not have an answer, to not knowing if this will work, or if it will not work. I started to reflect on life in general, and how isn't this true for all chapters of our lives? When you start a new romantic relationship, although you are caught up in all the excitement at the time, it may lead to many tears and heartbreak. And if you are one of the lucky ones to have a marriage of many years, inevitably one of you will go home to God before the other. The same can be said for deep friendships and relationships. How about you think of when you start a new job? You wonder if you will first be successful, and even if you will like it. You will then wonder, probably for as long as you're in this work, if your job is secure. So you can not only continue to do what you like, what you've prepared to do by teachers and by God, but you will also rely on that paycheck for bills and responsibilities at home. For those who have experienced trauma, be it physical, emotional, spiritual, or psychological, there will come a point when you will seek help. It is an incredible decision of courage, as you must trust again. As you begin that painful process of healing, you too want to know there will be better days, that your trust in this expert will lead to reclaiming a part of your old self, while discovering something new in the depths of yourself that you never knew existed. For those of us who are parents, you bring this incredibly vulnerable child into the world who at first relies on you for everything. How you pray and act that they have a healthy, long life filled with joy and peace. We know, of course, that this is not guaranteed, and as a parent, you can only protect your child so much. I would take this guarantee over any other of life's guarantees. In the bigger picture, as we experience our own life, we pray for a long life too, filled with more joys than sorrows. It is a gentle reminder for those who are fortunate to live a long life to be mindful of what you may complain about, See the wrinkles on your face as the imprint of a lifetime of smiles, and see the aches and pains as the result of a body used well to care for others. Not everyone gets that opportunity to grow old. When it is our time to go home to God, we hope to leave the world a little better than we found it. And this is probably the one guarantee that we can control. So much of the pain in life that requires healing involves other people and their actions. If someone blows a stop sign, if a home isn't properly inspected, if someone's demons win, our lives can change or end in an instant. But leaving the world better than we found it is very much in our control. And while it is true, our best efforts may not lead to the impact we hope for, we should never doubt the impact of our love. My experience of being in ministry at the United Nations for the past 3 years is one example of this. How I and my colleagues struggle with wanting to change the world, but knowing how difficult it is to change a political will or to go up against power and greed. Yet we remain in this work because someone has to. And although we will never see the fruit of our labor, we can inspire others. We can hold leaders accountable. And we can continue to bring love and justice in parts of the world where we find ourselves. I am changed by those I collaborate with, many of whom who have dedicated their lives to simplicity, prayer, and advocating for justice. It is like in the Beatitudes when Jesus says, "Blessed are the peacemakers." Just being among them has changed me for the better. We, no matter our circumstances, have an opportunity to love, and to love in only the way you and I can. So unfortunately, we cannot guarantee a happy ending for a medical treatment, a relationship, or any risk we take or a decision we make. What we can control is how we love, how we show up each day for others and for ourselves. Our next segment is Words of Love, where we reflect on the wisdom of another who has walked or walks this healing journey. With Valentine's Day right around the corner, this week's quote comes from Irish poet John O'Donoghue. He writes, "You can never love another person unless you are equally involved in the beautiful but difficult spiritual work of learning to love yourself." One more time. You can never love another person unless you are equally involved in the beautiful but difficult spiritual work of learning to love yourself. And I can remember my younger years and the pressure to have a Valentine. It feels silly to think about it now. But when I think back to high school and how it felt like every guy was giving flowers to their significant other, it was a ton of pressure. I'm fortunate to have a lifelong Valentine when I met my wife, and we've had some wonderful dates and Valentine's Day memories through the years. And then we had 2 little girls, and it somehow got even better. But this week's quote by John O'Donoghue reminds us that we must love ourselves first. And boy, that is hard. Just look around at our world, and so much of our problems come from our internal wounds. What may appear on the surface like something else is going on, if we dig deeper, we often find that there's a great deal of hurt and pain inside. O'Donoghue calls us to this beautiful but difficult spiritual work. I love that. Beautiful but difficult spiritual work of learning to love yourself. It might be worth taking some time this week in honor of Valentine's Day to ask ourselves, do I really love myself? And you can find the answer in your actions. What do you put into your body? How do you use your body? How do you love yourself? How do you see yourself, your body, your life? We need to pay attention to the voices from our past who lifted you up. And for those who did the opposite, finally bury those hurtful opinions and words that no longer serve a purpose. Reflect on God's love for you and wonder how you can love yourself even more. With this one precious life, can you shift to seeing yourself in all its beauty and see the miraculous that is you? You are alive at this point in history for a reason. You have been blessed with certain gifts and talents. You have overcome major challenges, trauma, and hurt. You have helped shape and form so many other people, helping them love God and love themselves. Look at your life and love all that is and who you are. As we read in the Jewish scriptures, you are beautifully and wonderfully made. This Valentine's Day, give yourself the gift of loving yourself and offer gratitude to God for who you are. This brings us to our third segment, What Am I Reading? And this week I've been reading a lot about Haitian residents who are at risk of losing their temporary status to stay here in America. Now, you may be aware of this, seeing in the news, or it might be new to you. So let me give you a kind of a quick recap. There are Haitian residents who, after the big earthquake earlier this century, were given temporary status to be in here in America. There are over 350,000 Haitians who have built communities, created friendships and families in certain communities within the continental U.S., especially in Springfield, Ohio. Last week, a federal judge extended the temporary protective status, but the fear is that the Trump administration will appeal, and the Supreme Court will get involved like it did with Venezuela recently. Now, here's why this is so important. Haiti is a very dangerous place that is currently overrun by gangs. Many young women are victims of sexual violence. Young boys are forced into gangs to survive. The international community, including the United States, has failed Haiti. The United States especially has allowed for weapons to be sent illegally from the United States to Haiti that the gangs have been using to keep their power. There are no weapons that are built in Haiti. They get their weapons from the outside. Now, this is a very simplified explanation, but the point is that if these Haitian residents who have been here for a long time are sent back to Haiti, it is a death sentence. This is a case to save a large community who have added to the tapestry of America. Just consider in Springfield, where there are 1,300 Haitian American children born here by their parents who came after the earthquake. What happens if their parents are deported? Many parents now are in hiding, fearful that they're going to be arrested or being sent back, and they're trying to find foster parents for their own kids. The temporary status granted to this Haitian community does not provide a path to citizenship. It enables immigrants to obtain work authorization and protects them from deportation. As an FYI, these Haitian holders with this temporary status, they contribute $1.3 billion annually in taxes and contribute $3.4 billion annually to the U.S. economy. 95% of these residents were employed by last count. Now, that shouldn't matter. The very fact that them being sent back to die should be enough. But for those who wonder about the health of America and the impact of America or America first, consider that. They are contributing to this economy. And if the basic decency of keeping them alive is not enough, this should. Until the international community commit to helping secure Haiti as a safe place to live, we have a responsibility to protect those who are fearing that they will be the next targeted group to be the focus of ICE. Now, what can you do? Contact your senators and congresspeople. Ask them to protect the Haitian community here in the United States. Now, for those who may be wondering what this has to do with the healing journey, or thinking I'm getting too political, let's pause and recognize the various forms of healing that is required in our world and in our country. This isn't a left versus right issue. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. It's seeking healing in our own lives and seeking it in our own communities. This example is just one of many that deserves our attention and our advocacy. Now, I'm not going to always tip my toe into the political waters on this podcast, but there are times when urgent action and awareness is required, and this is one of these cases. As we bring this episode to a close, let us approach meditation in a short version of the Examen, a Jesuit spirituality tool that invites us to see God in our day. Now, this Examen is done differently, and there's ways to kind of spread it out and take more time, but we're going to do a short version of it. And there are 5 parts to the Examen. The first is really to gather yourself in prayer and become aware of God's presence. The second is to review the day with gratitude. So if you're listening to this early in the morning, you may want to think about the day prior. If you're listening in at the end of a day or in the middle of a day, think about what's happened before. The third step, as you reflect on that day with gratitude, pay attention to your emotions. What struck you? What stirs in your heart? Might it be an encounter with somebody else? Might it be something that you read or that you saw? Might it be a thought that you had? You thought of someone who is no longer with us, or you thought of somebody who might be in need. Pay attention to the emotion that's involved. And then the fourth step is to choose one feature of the day and pray from it, taking some time to quietly reflect on What might God be trying to speak to you or teach you in this moment? What can you learn from it? Or maybe it's just a moment to be grateful for that experience. And then we conclude with the fifth step of looking forward to tomorrow, praying that God gives us another day, and looking at that day as a chance to encounter a relationship with God. What's beautiful about the Examen is it's meant to be a daily exercise. Many people, especially in the Jesuit tradition, conclude their day by asking these questions before they go to sleep. And it gives them a place of reflection, of gratitude, and renewal. And what happens over time is that you realize that you're not alone, that God is very much within you and among you, and that you're invited to encounter God, not just in church, not just in worship and prayer, but in all relationships with all people, especially with those who might be strangers, those who are suffering, those who are in need of your love. And so let's try it. Let's take a moment first to breathe in, take a couple deep breaths. Remember from past episodes, when you breathe in, intentionally think to yourself that you're going to breathe in God's peace and breathe out all of your troubles, all of your anxiety, all of your struggles. So let's take 3 deep breaths in with that intention of breathing in God's peace and breathing out our anxiety. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Let us begin the Examen. And let's become aware of God's presence among us and within us. Now let's take a minute to review your day with a grateful heart. Think back to getting up in the morning, everything that you did, all who you encountered, where you went, what you saw, what you heard, and pay attention to your emotions. What stirs inside when you reflect on a specific encounter or experience? So let's take a minute to do that. Now, after you reviewed your whole day, choose one feature, one interaction, one experience, and pray with it. You might ask, God, what am I supposed to learn from this? Well, why is it stirring right now? Why this over anything else? And just take some silence to reflect on that experience and see what God might be trying to speak to you or to teach you. And now after you do this, with a grateful heart, you look forward to tomorrow, intentionally having that mindset that you are going to encounter God and other people and other experiences, and also within yourself. So we did this Examen in a couple of minutes. It's meant to be a little bit longer. So, give yourself that time. Try it out this week. Try it out as a way to conclude your day, to reflect. Even in the afternoon, if you take a little break to go through these questions, to reflect on what you're feeling and what you're experiencing, and help create that spirit and that gratitude of God's presence in your life and within your life as well. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this Examen, again, a very quick way of looking at it, has given you a new tool to be able to heal, to be able to appreciate this wonderful life that you have and the opportunity before you. As this episode comes to a close, I thank you for joining me on the healing journey. May you be blessed with health, love, and peace until we meet again.